The news day continues here on One News Now. I am Mon Gualvez. Death toll from the wildfires in Maui, Hawaii have gone up to 80. Let's check in on the Filipino community there. We have Foreign Affairs Assistant Secretary Paul Cortez over the line. Good morning, Asik. Kumusta po ang lagay ng ating OFWs in Maui, particularly in Lahaina? May reported casualties po ba tayo?
Magandang umaga po sa inyo, Mon, and sa lahat ng mga nakikinig. We're in touch with the Philippine Consulate General in Honolulu, si Consul General Emil Fernandez, na nag-report naman na as of now, there are about 80 fatalities as released by the Maui County Police Chief. Mga 1,000 pa raw daw po ang missing. Pero again, wala ho silang breakdown na binibigay per ethnicity. Ngayon, ang ating konsulado is in touch, I should say, with the Maui Filipino community and Maui Chamber of Commerce. Pero wala pang breakdown ng ethnicity. But suffice it to say, kausap na po yung mga Pinoys natin doon and they're monitoring the situation. Okay. Ngayon, there are about 370,000 Filipino or Filipino-Americans na nandun nakatira sa Hawaii, and about 60,000 thereabouts or even less are in Maui mismo. And many of these Pinoys are Filipino-Americans, U.S. citizens na, having been there in Maui for quite some time, or in the U.S. or born in the U.S., kung kaya't nagmo-monitor pa rin ang ating konsulado. And it's also difficult for the Hawaii Civil Defense to break down yung mga ethnicities kasi most of them are already American or U.S. citizens.
I see. Just to clear, Asik, around 1,000 are still missing.
Yes, according to the Maui County Police Chief.
Okay. The Maui Filipino Chamber of Commerce says hundreds of Pinoys are also missing. Can you confirm this?
Well, we flagged that with our Philippine consulate, and they have yet to return to us about the details on that. Again, they're also communicating with the there's a Filipino organization there. It's called Binhi at Ani Filipino Community Center. Andun lahat ang sentro ng Filipino community organizations doon. Sir Mon, I used to be consul and then deputy consul general in Hawaii, and about 15 years ago, and I visited Maui several times and liaised with the Filipino community. Medyo tight-knit sila at nagkakakilanlan. Yun nga lang, as you said, many of them are already American citizens, pero Pinoy pa rin ang kostumbre and all that. Marami at karamihan sa kanila ay Ilocano.
I see. I hope these missing Pinoys will be accounted for. In terms of damage to property, Asik, may info na po ba tayo ilan ang mga nawalan ng bahay sa mga Pinoy na nandyan nga po sa Hawaii?
Wala pa tayong information on the houses of the Pinoys, pero over 28,000 people have been moved out of Maui kasi walang electricity, walang communication lines, so medyo mahirap. Pero just for information sa mga nakikinig, Maui is a different island from Oahu. Yung Oahu kasi andun ho yung Honolulu, which is the biggest city in the state of Hawaii. Medyo nasa gitna ng konti ang Maui. Pagkatapos ng Maui, you have Lahaina, and then the big island of Hawaii. And then about 25% or 17% of the population of Maui are Pinoy Americans.
Opo. Saan po tumutuloy ngayon yung mga affected Filipino residents? Ano pong assistance ang kailangan din po nila?
Ang ginagawa ng Hawaii State Civil Defense was to house them in emergency shelters. On top po ang Hawaii Civil Defense. Andyan din ho ang FEMA, yung Federal Emergency Management Assistance, na tumutulong hindi lang po sa mga kababayan natin Pinoy, pero sa lahat ng mga ethnicities. Marami tandaan ho din natin na ang Maui tourist spot po yan ng hindi lang ng Hawaii, ng buong Amerika. Lahat po ng Amerikano gusto pumunta ng Maui. Sikat na sikat yan. So maraming turista ang natrap din po doon na ine-evacuate na po ng Hawaii State Civil Defense.
I see. Are there any requests for repatriation assistance so far, Asik?
Wala naman po. Wala naman po. Again, many of yung mga kababayan natin ay US citizens na o kaya permanent residents ng Amerika. Kung kaya we do not really expect them to be to ask for repatriation papunta dito sa Pilipinas. Hindi tulad ng mga kababayan natin na stuck in the middle of a crisis in Sudan o kaya in Turkey. Itong mga kababayan natin in Hawaii are kadalasan na permanent residents, meaning green card holder o kaya US citizens na kung kaya andun na sila naninirahan for good.
On that note, thank you for your time, Asek. That was DFA Assistant Secretary Paul Cortez. In other news, Fisherfolk Group Pamalakaya, Pilipinas reports that there are still ongoing dredging operations off the shores of Cavite. In a video uploaded on social media, Pamalakaya said they see dredging vessels near Rosario, Noveleta, Tanza, and Naik in Cavite earlier today. This comes less than a week after President Bongbong Marcos suspended all reclamation projects pending the review of DENR. Some groups are also calling for the permanent halting of these projects, citing its ill effects on the environment. Slain Navotas teen Jemboy Baltazar sustained 2 gunshot wounds based on the initial autopsy report. According to forensic pathologist Raquel Fortun, the first shot hit Jemboy's head around the left ear and the second one hit his right hand. Fortun said this hand wound that Jemboy sustained could be a sign of defense.
Yung kamay, because of the location, is what we call a defense-type injury. And I heard accounts that he held his hand up in surrender, and that is, a defensive stance.
Fortun added that Jemboy would have survived if he had been saved from drowning after being shot. Jemboy was fatally shot by Navotas cops after being mistaken for a murder suspect. He will be laid to rest on Wednesday.
Yung tama niya sa brain, hindi naman ganun, I believe, to be immediately fatal. Parang nag-raise lang yung sa may bottom ng brain niya sa left. And I had to add the drowning as contributory. He did not die immediately from the head gunshot wound.
We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. is ready to fend off attempts from China to remove the Navy commissioned vessel stationed in Ayungin. JC Cosico has the report.
The Armed Forces of the Philippines said the country will resist should China resort to forcefully removing the BRP Sierra Madre stationed at the Ayungin Shoal. This comes after the China Coast Guard used water cannons against Philippine vessels going to Ayungin Shoal for a resupply mission at the BRP Sierra Madre last week.
Of course, we will resist.
That is very speculative.
But if it does happen, maritime law expert Attorney J. Batong Bakal said there are rules of engagement to consider.
Meron ding mga standards, yung mga responses, no? Yung tinatawag nating proportionality, no? At saka reasonability. Para din, number one, ma-control agad yung incident, no? Yung events. At maklaro din ano yung, kumbaga, maaring patunguhan nun.
For now, the AFP is planning another resupply mission to Ayungin. The Philippine Coast Guard, for its part, said it's ready to provide more vessels to escort the AFP. The military is now urging China to stand down and consider the impact of their actions.
China Coast Guard should behave. They should not resort to actions that are hostile because all the consequences that will arise from their singular hostile act will be blamed to them and to those above them.
Meantime, amid the ongoing tension between China and the Philippines, a political analyst finds the idea of a joint patrol ridiculous.
It's really quite funny, no? Kasi parang the problem with China, I think, is like they always employ this gray zone tactics. You cannot talk peace and have a gun. It's really hard for us to have this joint patrol with China. I think it's better that we explore it with other countries.
With that said, the country is already ironing out the details of joint patrol operations with the United States. The National Security Council said there remains some logistical issues, but they hope to start the joint patrols in the West Philippine Sea by year-end. For News 5, JC Cosico, we are One News.
Here's a quick look on other stories we're watching. Taguig City is denying claims that they tried to take over Embo schools by force. A Makati City official earlier alleged that Taguig City enforcers tried to take possession of 14 schools which Makati claims still belong to them. Senate President Mig Zubiri has thumbed down a proposal to revive the Oil Price Stabilization Fund. Instead, the Senate President wants to expand fuel voucher subsidies to aid the public transport sector. And Netflix will host a One Piece fan event in the country on August 30. This is in support of the live-action series to be released on August 31. And those are the top stories of the hour. Join us later at 12 noon as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. I am Mon Gualvez. We are One News.